You know, Megan, there really shouldn't have been a bucket on top of our door.
Well, maybe you should be a little more careful about where you leave your buckets.
Drake and Josh is not only a staple of what teen Nick would be, but it's one of the best teen sitcoms of all time. From Jake's cool empty-headedness to Josh's neurotic narrow-mindedness, these guys unlock the ultimate forms of comedy. It's no surprise that their chemistry came on so early when they worked on the Amanda show together. They worked in a bunch of skits where they just played off of each other super well, eventually adapting into their own TV show, which I've covered multiple times on this show, season by season. And since I have enough opinions for all of us, I wanted to go through every single episode of Drake and Josh and really differentiate which ones I think are the strongest and which ones I think are the weakest. By the way, you're really not gonna like my opinion of a lot of these, so I'm already telling you right now. But hey, the more comments, the better, am I right? So this is going to be a seasonless experience, we're going through all the episodes and taking out the season factor, and then we're going to categorize them differently. So without further ado, let's jump into ranking every single episode. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny2000, focusing on 2000s TV, movies, media, and so much more.
Wow! I can't believe you were George on Happy Times. That must have been so fun.
Nah, show business is tough.
Yeah?
Yeah, trust me, you would not want to be a little girl on a TV show.
Now, before we begin this ultimate ranking system, we gotta establish a few checkpoints that may help. Okay, I broke this down into a couple episode chunks. Every 10 episodes, it's gonna get a little bit better. So we're gonna start with the worst episodes, then the boring episodes, then the repetitive episodes, and that's when we'll get to the final 30, which are the classic episodes, the great episodes, and then of course the top 10. So stick with me, I promise the show's gonna get a lot more praise than it seems at first. Let's start with the bad episodes. At the very last, we have number 57, Playing the Field. So this is a Josh and Mindy episode, essentially, where Drake disapproves of Josh dating Mindy. It's one of the more boring ones, but honestly, this isn't even a power couple in any way for me. I just think it's weird how they connect. So I'm putting it in last place, yeah, which is weird because season 3 is a really good season. This is the 4th episode of it, and it's not a bad episode. It's just one of the least liked by me. Then we have The Storm. This is another season 4 episode, which is kind of tragic, but I swear they did this stuck episode over and over again with the treehouse, with the wedding. This time it just kicked me to my limit. I had to put it lower on the list. Because it's one thing to have a stuck episode, but to have a stuck episode without Josh in it is just downright, sinful. I'm not going to argue there's a lot of great moments, but hey, this is the bad category, and I'm not a fan of this one. The Wedding is another stuck episode. Do I really have to get into this so much? Yeah, it's when they get stuck on the side of the road, another season 4 episode. Sorry guys. Number 54 is Mindy Loves Josh. I just feel like it wasn't a very fun episode. It kind of felt like it was more plot than comedy, which is even crazier because Drake and Josh is only comedy usually. It feels like a weird departure from the usual sitcom hijinks, very after school special. So yeah, I can't believe that season 4 had some of the very last quality episodes and also some of the best quality. That must be a really controversial season for me. At number 53, we have Little Diva, and this episode was taken off the air for a reason. Not because it's controversial, but because it's honestly just not that funny. There's a really good bit, this Weekend at Bernie's bit, where the girl's passed out. Drake and Josh have to cover for her, but for the most part, it's not super worth even the watch, so I can't really recommend this one. It was in that second season gap where a lot of the episodes didn't make it, and I don't mind. For Smart Girl, this one's funny because I actually did a whole video on this. It's when Josh talks to Drake through an earpiece to try to make him appear smart. Literally one of the most overdone tropes I feel like I've ever seen in a teen sitcom. Luckily, they did it pretty well, so I didn't put it that low on the list. But yeah, it doesn't look good when they just keep repeating ideas. I will say this is one of the best sitcom approaches to this joke. At number 51, we have Who's Got Game. This is the one where Drake and Josh pretty much bet against each other that they can go out with more girls. I feel like it's probably the least interesting bet type episode, which by the way they've done so many times throughout this show. It's from season 4, which is kind of crazy because this is one of the best seasons ever. I really don't like this episode of Drake and Josh. Does it deserve to be the worst? I don't know. It's just my opinion, guys. I just feel like it's not as good as any other episode in the series. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to defend it. All I know is I'm putting this last. Honestly, it's really hard to get me to really dislike an episode of this show. A lot of it is just so cleverly written, it's hard to justify. So you'll see me making this argument a lot throughout this video, so just prepare yourselves. This might make people really mad, but I have number 49 and 50 being Really Big Shrimp, the 2-part series finale. It feels out of character. The show is just so funny with this comedic duo, and it feels like they're trying to attach themselves to a plot line with Drake being a musician, which doesn't inevitably work out because they barely reference it to begin with. I mean, we got it earlier with our guitar episode, but for the most part, they kind of abandoned this, so to pretend to go back to it, yeah, I don't know, guys. It's not a terrible, terrible finale, though. Number 48 really deserves its place, though. Movie Job is such a boring episode. There's barely jokes. It's like the only lore-centered episode, I feel like, where they needed to have it. It's funny that Drake is being favoritized over Josh a lot, but for the most part, this episode isn't relying a lot on comedy beats. Helen is the best part of this episode, so I'm just gonna leave it there. This is before the show got really good, so sorry, guys.
Kurosawa films because
wow,
I
she's
especially
really
love
smart.
how the bountiful music director
So
shared
hot.
conversations from the perspective of the violin.
Oh wait, she might notice I'm not listening. I'd better act like I am. I'll nod. Yeah. Whew, that was close.
Now that we got the net negative episodes out of the way with the bad category, we're going to just go on to the boring category. These next 10 episodes, I just didn't love them because I thought they weren't as funny. So that's how we're going to approach these next couple ones. We're going to start with number 47, The Dr. Phyllis Show. Because this is a prime example of when they got lazy. Like, a clip show, really? Do we have to do that? It's not a bad clip show. I feel like it's one of the better clip shows if you've seen my clip show related video. But at this point, there's only like 30, 40 episodes in it, so I don't think it was necessary. Then we have the famous I Love Lucy episode from season 4. Yeah, it's called I Love Sushi, and it's when the boys get conned out of all of their furniture. Such a funny concept. The boys have to get jobs, which is such a late episode to have in a series about teenagers, but hey, whatever. It just doesn't feel like a lot of stuff even plays out by the end of this episode, so I don't really know how to go about it. Then at number 45, we have Sheep Thrills. This is the one where Megan brings a sheep into the house, and Drake and Josh are like running around the house trying to take care of it. It's such a funny comedic episode for season 3, but compared to all the episodes before and after it, it's just not as funny as them, so I'm putting it in the boring category. Please forgive me, guys. Same thing with number 44, Two Idiots and a Baby. This is just so early in the series, it's hard to take it seriously because it didn't get as funny as it would naturally become, and there's only 6 episodes in the first season, so it's not like there's a lot of these episodes. It's rare, but there's still some good jokes in here, like Josh on the phone with the mom talking as the baby. That's one of my favorite jokes. Girl Power is number 43, because we're getting into the little less boring of the boring categories, guys. It's just funny because it's a lot about Drake and his girlfriend, Josh and his girlfriend, and everybody just like kind of bagging on women, and it's sad because it doesn't date super well. But hey, this is the epitome of what the 2000s were. Like, we were not afraid to joke about things that were just downright offensive. Whatever. It's not like it kills the episode. It just takes it lower down the list for me. First Crush is number 42 because I forgot this episode existed. It literally fell into the safe in the bank of my mind, and the guards locked it up. Again, from season 1, a super early episode. But I would say Josh is funny in it. There's some positives. Then we have number 41 is Guitar. Guitar is also one of the band episodes from season 2, but this one kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's basically Josh sets Drake's guitar on fire, is really embarrassed about it, and tries to get him a new one. It's more of a moral-centric episode with a happy ending as opposed to a familiar ending. Yeah, and I feel like this is before they got into their stride, so I'm not super happy with those one. Number 40 has a little less excuse. The Affair was made in season 3, so they had a lot of really funny episodes at this point. I feel like they had a good template, and it wasn't that interesting. A Walter-centric episode, like, that's gotta be funny, but it's just a little bit boring the way everything plays out. I feel like it could have been a lot more interesting with seeing who the woman actually was, but it just ends up with Drake and Josh embarrassing themselves. Very classic trope. And then the last one in the boring category is number 39, Helicopter. This is one of the last times I'll complain a lot about these stuck episodes. Just seeing them in a helicopter, it's not that funny to me, and this episode just plays out so long because it's a single location, and the fact it was placed as the season finale was really bothersome to me, so I'm never going to be on this episode's side. Sorry, guys. That's when we're going to move on to the episodes that are just plain repetitive. This category has 8 episodes, but it's not super bad. I feel like I'm going to go a lot better on the show going forward, so please stick with me. At 38, we have The Bet, and please don't kill me. I know this is an objectively good episode. It's just repetitive to me. I feel like we have a lot of episodes where Drake and Josh are betting on things, and it happens a lot of times. It doesn't earn its right to be in the top, 20 episodes, so I'm putting it all the way back here. Sorry. It was the season 2 premiere, so it definitely was the beginning of some of the better episodes. And I gotta be honest, there's some really hilarious parts here, like the game sphere, a lot of parts that really make me laugh to this day. Then 37, we have the Allison Stoner episode, number 1 fan. So this is where Drake has a number 1 fan. It's in season 2 in one of the band episodes, but I really don't get why. This episode's just genuinely funny. It's like Drake makes a promise to a little girl and he has to see it through, but she's pretty obsessive. I think this is a really fun episode, but it does feel like a lot of episodes that come before it, so it doesn't get to go super high on the list. Number 36 is The Demonator. This used to be my favorite growing up, but looking back, it was a little bit generic, like Drake and Josh just trying to get something away from their parents and get away with it. I like the addition of Megan being involved. That's funny. The whole line bit of them getting kicked out. Oh, and the Grandpa Nichols, definitely one of the funniest bits in the show. But you know what? Everything before this ranking just gets better and better. So that's more of a compliment to this show. Like, from here on out, it just is only funny. Dance Contest is number 35, and this one was a little bit boring to me, maybe because it was put at the tail end of the series after Really Big Shrimp. But it is funny the way Drake and Josh kind of go against each other in a dance competition. I was not seeing that coming. And their little performance at the end together is reminiscent of the Blues Brothers episode, which I was really excited to see. So yeah, this one was just a nice little celebration, but all around not a great Drake and Josh episode to begin with. Sorry. Number 34 is Football. This was almost going to go in the boring category, but just the fact that this famous football guy forgets his memory when going in to replace Josh at the football game is really funny. I feel like the emotional beat almost weighs it down a little bit. It's nice to see that there's a lot more brother bonding in this episode, but that's kind of what the earlier episodes did. It wasn't necessarily a special thing, so I can't give it too much credit. But yeah, like I said, the amnesia bit, hilarious, so we're keeping this higher on this list. Then number 33, we have the Treehouse episode. Everybody's going to be upset with me about this. Season 4's prime jewel that everybody keeps memeing about till this day. I'm sorry, guys, this is just not that funny to me. It's like the wedding, it's like the helicopter, it's just them arguing in a space. Sure, this is one of the funniest ones, so I'll put it as high on the list as I can, but I can't back this one up for super long. Drake and Josh had a great run, and you could have done a lot more dynamic episodes than all these bottle ones, but you know what, that's just me being an extra critic. We really don't have to go there. 32 is Grammy. It goes slightly higher than the Treehouse one because it's a little bit more unique, seeing Josh's family, his grandmother, and the fact that she treats him like such a baby is so funny to me. The fact that this is really early in the series is also pretty impressive because it's a really funny episode. Drake makes a bet with Josh's grandmother. It doesn't get better than that. So yeah, Grammy is the last one on the repetitive list. So let's get to our classic list.
I am not helping you cheat. I may have stumbled, but that does not lessen the significance of this departure.
Reminder, we're going to do classic, then great, then the best. So these episodes I would consider really nostalgic and impressive on their own, not necessarily great to be compared to other shows in general. We're just talking classic Drake and Josh, what we think that this show did really well with. So Helen's surgery deserves to be at number 3 because of all the backstory. I feel like we got revealed a lot more information than we would even need to in a kid's sitcom. Of course, all the kids in the hot tub and them trying to take care of a blind Helen is also just as funny. I feel like when they actually toned in on her character, things got so much better for Drake and Josh. Then I think the next one should be Vicious Tiberius, because I think this is one of the more funny stuck episodes. Having them have to take care of Helen's dog is already a funny trope considering how much she hates Drake. I feel like its wit is a lot funnier than the Treehouse episode, despite it literally being like the same premise. I mean, I had to put one of these episodes in a higher point on the list. Alien Invasion is the season 3 episode where Drake and Josh are convinced that they have outsmarted Megan in the terms of making her believe aliens exist. And it's really funny because obviously they are not in power a majority of the time when they're working with Megan. So the fact that they think they have the upper hand in this is hilarious. In retrospect, knowing that they don't by the end of it is just so funny. My favorite joke in this one is where Megan lies on the ground and literally screams, and the dad is like, "What'd you guys do?" I don't know why, that's just so funny to me. Mindy's Back is pretty much the sequel to Honor Council because she comes back from the crazy asylum, which already, why are we addressing crazy people like that? Mindy is just like such a normal character. This is when Josh and her start to develop feelings for each other, and it gets wackier, like Drake starts disapproving of it, and I think it's really cool to see how things play out with their dynamic, especially with Josh and Mindy being so similar yet different at the same time. At number 27, we have Megan's New Teacher. This is the one where Josh ends up teaching Megan's class, and they become super biased against her because he's such a horrible teacher. And it's really funny watching everybody kind of mock Josh the whole time. It definitely gives me like Theater Thug vibes, which, by the way, is going to be later on the list. Don't get too excited yet. And it's just like peak Josh character. Josh is such a funny character. For me, Drake's usually a lot funnier, but like having Josh shine every now and then is really good. Then we got number 26, the Drake and Josh Inn. And this is like one of the most generic Drake and Josh episodes, quote unquote, where the parents are going away for the weekend, so the kids end up having a party, but it just goes so haywire in such a Drake and Josh fashion. I feel like this is the staple for when party episodes worked. Like, they're trying to keep this couple, adults by the way, believing that their home is a bed and breakfast. Like, what the heck is that premise? And this dad is the guy from Jonas, which I can't get out of my head. You guys recognize him? Yeah, me either. Helen ends up coming to the house party, and that's my favorite part. That's all I have to say about this episode. Then we have number 25, the Gary Grill episode. This is, again, one of the band episodes. It's from season 2, and it is with that famous child actor, Gary Coleman. And one of my favorite bits is when they're being investigated at the jailhouse, and they literally go to jail in this episode. Like, they only did that once, and it was Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh. So, like, to believe that this went so far that they got in that much trouble is astonishing to me. By the end, they actually have Gary Coleman come on the show, and it's just really funny. It's not like a super positive ending, but did it need to be? Not really. At number 24, just for respect of the show, I'm gonna put the pilot episode. The episode where everything is introduced, Drake and Josh are brothers, yada yada yada. I mean, it's a good pilot. It does a really effective job about introducing the characters super quickly. We have Josh doing a Dear Nancy column and Drake worried about being cool and fitting in. It's so long ago in the series that it almost feels like a different show, but the heart's there, and Drake and Josh's core values, like, definitely stemmed a lot further from that. So we have to give credit where credit is due, guys. The pilot is a good one. A great one? Number 23 is, honestly, I gotta be honest, this is one I vouched for because I loved the Great Doheny episode. Just thinking of a grown man expecting these two teenage boys to take care of him to the extent that he expects is, like, ridiculous. Like sleeping with that sound machine so he doesn't snore, and they did that again on iCarly, which was kind of wacky. I don't know, I just thought this one was just such a classic episode that I had to put it in this category. And, like, the biggest twist, having him pretend that he died and Drake and Josh believing they killed a man, that went way further than I ever expected Drake and Josh to go. But you'll notice that's a pattern. I feel like the more higher we get on this list is the more outlandish these premises become. Like, this is such a normal show at heart, but it just goes so far. That's probably why people like it so much. Number 22, I feel like Josh is Done really fits the classic title. Having him go so far as to completely quit being brothers with Drake just because he's gone way too far is super fair. If anything, the fact it took to the 4th season is extremely questionable. There's something about it that has a little bit of heart in it, especially since knowing the very beginning started a lot out being about them being brothers, and then we developed to just having a quirky relationship, a little opposites attract sitcom trope, like, that's what it became. So the fact that they put it back to the ground for a moment just for this episode was really memorable, especially the part where Drake gets thrown in the shower in the middle of class. How do we not talk about that moment? Especially since they do that to me all the time still. And number 21, I had to pull something out of season 1 because it's been a while, and I feel like if we're talking classics, we have to talk this show too. 21 is Believe Me Brother, and this is the one where Drake and Josh basically have to test their trust because Drake's girlfriend hits on Josh, and nobody believes that's ever possible. Kind of disrespectful to Josh, but whatever. They just think that this girl is telling the truth when really she's, like, going behind their back. They inevitably end up catching her in the act through, like, a school tape, and it's unbelievable to think that Josh is the reason that Drake, like, wasn't dating a girl anymore. I don't know, something about that is funny.
Oh, hi, Trevor. No, I don't want to see your growth. Man, I don't care if it's still growing, put it back in the jar.
So now that we covered the classics section, let's move on to just plain good television. Great TV. Things that make Drake and Josh good outside of just being a kid's sitcom. The episodes I would be happy to show grandma, if you will. Let's go to number 20 with Megan's Revenge. This runs from season 4, where Drake and Josh are convinced that they are going to be pranked by Megan to literally, like, a fatal extent. They end up killing her hamsters. So they essentially think she's gonna kill them about it, pretty much. They get ultra paranoid, getting a complete loss of sleep over the whole situation. It's just, like, complete paranoia overload. And I always thought this was an interesting episode because it's kind of, like, more about, like, the human psychology. Like, how is Megan so smart that she's able to completely prank these guys just through mental games? Like, such a new world Megan Parker has opened up in this universe. Then we got number 19, My Dinner with Bobo. This one always freaked me out as a kid because of the whole Bobo situation. Like, I never expected a human to eat a monkey, nor did I know this thing existed. I don't know, it just rubbed me in a weird way when I was a kid. It feels like it gets really serious because it's a legal matter, and Megan kind of is the only reason Drake and Josh even get away with saving him. But having them, like, be fully trapped in the closet, it felt like there were some real stakes going on. Aside from that, I just think the episode is hilarious. The fact that they're getting paid to dance with the monkey, even buying the car from the car salesman. I don't know why. Drake's spending all the money. I can spend hours saying why this was so good. And no other show would do an episode like this. Like, have you ever seen a sitcom do this? Number 18 is Mean Teacher, and I've mentioned this multiple times before, but my favorite trope is like the favoritism trope, like where Helen hates Josh but loves Drake, and then Miss Schaefer loves Josh but hates Drake, and the way she goes about it is just so dark. I don't know why. It does not feel like it should even be on a kid's show. She's just so deadpan, and it kind of reminds me of actually having teachers like this growing up. But it's still a funny episode. Drake's worried about breaking up with his girlfriend, and that's her mom. It's like the perfect amount of consequences you could expect a sitcom to have. Then we got number 17, We're Married, where Josh has his Udonian pen pal come to stay with them as a family, which who in the world would actually do that? Like, would you ever, as a teenager, actually have another teenager come from a different part of the country and just, like, stay with you? Not as a part of, like, an exchange program, but, like, just for fun? Yeah, so her and Drake hit it off more than Josh and her, and he's kind of upset about it. And they inevitably end up getting married, which is even crazier. Like, that was one of the times that I remember watching a Drake and Josh episode and being like, wow, they took this really far. Especially for being season 3. Like, there were still a lot more episodes and a lot further to go for this show. Number 16 is Dune Buggy. This is a classic episode that is just great TV. In theory, it's like a very simple plot line from the first season. You know, teenager tries to borrow a car from the parents, but the fact that Drake gets, like, fully in a car accident, has to hide the fact that he's been super injured, is hilarious, and Josh is no help. I just like the way this episode plays out. It just feels like this is when they started introducing a lot more cynicism and mean-spirited jokes, but in this time it wasn't actually going overboard, so I was pretty okay with it. Then at number 15, we have Drew and Jerry, which is too classic to even talk about. It's when Josh finally starts hanging out without Drake, and, like, how they actually miss each other, so Drake ends up hanging out with somebody just like Josh, and they happen to be super uncannily like the other person. And it's so funny to see this, especially this early in the series, because how good of an actor would these guys have to be in order to portray Drake and Josh with only, like, the first 20 episodes to use as a reference? Like, it's just so smart the way it's done. Of course, it ends in a completely meta way with them actually watching their own series of Drake and Josh. Can't even get into that with this video, but you know what I mean. It's a cool moment. Then we're going to pull from season 4, Megan's First Kiss. This is the one where she keeps getting betrayed by this blonde kid. Drake and Josh end up interfering, dressing as Hasidic Jews at one point. They sneak into the movie theater and spy on Megan at her date multiple times. And it's gone too far at that point. Seeing them, like, ultimately fail is so funny, and it feels a lot more rewarding when we learn that this kid is an actual jerk. Of course, another Megan episode where we actually don't have them fighting against her, like, it's actually a lot sweeter, which definitely a good change of pace for the show. Then we get to number 13, Driver's License. This is my favorite out of the band episodes. I don't know why, just seeing Drake and Josh take on, like, a bigger responsibility than they ever had before really solidified the show for me, because obviously we don't really even cover the driver's tests as much anymore. Like, the guys were in high school, so this is, like, a plot that can only be done then. Especially since the Dune Buggy, this feels like a upgrade. The fact that Josh doesn't get his license and Drake does, like, how in the world would things have ended up that way? I don't even believe it till this day. Then at number 12, we have Paging Dr. Drake, another episode that I thought was going way too far. Drake literally impersonating a doctor and then being told that that's illegal. Oh my gosh, my heart sunk when I saw that on Teen Nick for the first time. Drake is hilarious when he's, like, hitting on all the girls in this setting, because it's clearly crossing a moral line that you do not expect. Even jumping out of the window by the end of the episode, like, it just goes onto insane reaches. And given, like, the fans' reaction to it and my reaction to it, I had to put it up in the top 20 for the best episodes of this show. At number 11, the last episode in this great TV section, we have Steered Straight. Another time things went crazy far, with Drake and Josh being involved in full criminals. Yeah, there was no holding back in this episode. They were put in a criminal program by their parents because they had gone too far, and again, they do that a lot, but this one took way too much. I don't know how they undo the mess that they get themselves in this episode, but hey, comedy for comedy's sake, guys. I can't believe how many points by the end of the series Drake and Josh have been to jail. Probably like 3, 4, maybe even 5 times now. Somebody in the comments give me a count, because I really want to know.
Holy jeez, I've never seen it rain this hard in San Diego. Word.
Then without further ado, we enter our top 10 best episodes of Drake and Josh of all time. And these ones are beyond all rubrics of grading. Like, this is just top tier episodes that I try not to get super into. And remember, this is just my opinion, so please don't attack me in the comments. Like, I have a very specific opinion when it comes to Drake and Josh, so I really hope you'll respect that. At number 10, we have Little Sibling. I really love this episode, just because, like, the fact that Josh comes in with, like, really positive intentions to take care of this kid Sammy, and Drake uses it for his personal game, all while Miss Hafer is like the judge of character. It takes things way too far. Season 3 would be nothing without this episode and the boundaries it pushed. There's even a little bit of heart involved with Drake making the decision not to hang out with the kid because of Josh. And that's really meaningful considering how selfish he's been in the past and all that happened. It's just a funny episode all around, too. Like, it doesn't have to be this special, awesome episode. It's just good on its own. Then at number 9, we have the Peruvian Puff Pepper episode. Yep, this is from season 3 once again, where Megan gets the Peruvian puff pepper. Drake and Josh kind of spy on her, think that she's cheating, but really she did it to set them up. It was a genius episode where even we were in along for the ride, thinking that Drake and Josh had the upper hand, when really Megan did this whole time. Just the faces on everybody when they thought they won, and then turns out it was illegal in America, like, that's insane. Like, it was such a funny plot twist, so I really like this episode. Then number 8, we have to put in a classic that is just gone above and beyond, the Blues Brothers episode. Why? Because they had a full dance number, and the episode wasn't bad. Yeah, I'm looking at you, dance contest. Blues Brothers has nothing on you, because it starts out with Josh having, like, this deep-seated fear of, like, public attention and being on TV, and then starts to hide, which is definitely a prerequisite to the Theater Thug episode, to when Josh starts getting really screwed over by all these public events, and it's funny to think that it all stems from this one episode. It really does. And then let's go back to one of my favorite seasons for the next 2. 7 is Eric Punches Drake. This is where Drake gets punched by Eric and he becomes super popular. I can't believe this is like what our high school life would equate to. Like, just being beaten up makes you less cool, and the bully is the cool one. I feel like times have changed since then, but seeing Eric take full ownership of it is so funny. It's like one of the times where I feel like the ensemble around Drake and Josh are just as strong as Drake and Josh themselves, like Crazy Steve, Helen, like this takes Eric to a whole new level, and all those meetups with Craig that Drake has is just, it's going way too far. I love it. I love this episode. Then, of course, another season 4. At number 6, we have Josh Runs Into Oprah, the season 4 opener. Best season, honestly, really, really good one. I remember when promos came out for this season, and Josh was in the car running over Oprah literally immediately. Like, this definitely got me hyped for the new set of episodes, and even looking back, it's created such a history for the show, like, actually pinpointing when it got, like, crazy. And yeah, Nickelodeon was really cool back then, it seems. Like, honestly, this is such a good representation of, like, how the show got so much better over time. Now we enter our top 5 with number 5, the Theater Thug episode. Yeah, I love this episode. Literally everybody mistaking Josh for a robber. Like, it is insane. He gets beaten up at every turn in this, and the 3rd season had no right to be this funny. Like, it still felt kind of early, and after this episode, I feel like the show was never the same, because they always had to one-up the plot line before it, and the Theater Thug just took things way too far, with even a criminal entering the premiere by the end of the episode. So the stakes got risen All the comedy jokes were on point, and yeah, Theater Thug is just as high as it gets, especially since the fan community agrees. Like, this is one of the better episodes for sure. Number 4, I'm gonna put as Pool Shark from the second season. Now, this feels like it's a little early, but I definitely think this is one of the classics I grew up with. I remember getting into the show because of this episode, thinking that it was so crazy that Drake would try to get Josh to con a bunch of people, and then Josh would turn it back onto Drake. It almost feels like a Megan level scheme, but just the two brothers between each other. And it just showed how much potential there was for these two to actually go against each other like that. Yeah, like going into a bar as teenagers, like what in the world was that about though? I can't believe we even got that far, but whatever. Yeah, this is a really good episode. I had to personally put it here because of my own bias. Then number 3, we have Foam Finger. Yeah, this is another classic episode. Literally a flashback episode with events that didn't actually happen. We see young Drake and young Josh actually getting into an argument for the first time. And to think that they were already against each other way back then when they were little, before the show even started, is crazy to me. Especially seeing like where they came from when they entered the pilot to where they ended up by the end of it. Like, it was just such a good episode. And I just remember the part where we find out that Megan is the reason for all the drama. Like, that is a chef's kiss on top of a perfect episode of tween TV. And number 2, this is going to be our last pull from the 4th season. It's one of the final episodes, Battle of Panthatar. And, oh my gosh, this episode is so funny. I feel like I'm only putting it here at number 2 because I watched it again recently and forgot how hilarious the bit is where there's like a TV show following Drake and Josh and they act like they're like comfortable around the camera. Those bits with Drake and Josh is so funny because like seeing them act like they're not comfortable is ridiculous. And this really snotty rich kid definitely pushes them to the limit. The fact that they have to work together to crash a party is such a fun plot, and the plot and the theme being like the Star Wars, like that's a good idea too. I feel like Megan's involvement also improves it a lot. It kind of reminds me of the Demonator without the parents factoring into it, and Drake and Josh trying to stick up for their reputation. It's almost like so sad it gets to that level. And these characters have never been more petty than in this episode, I gotta be honest. I mean, if you think of a crazier episode, go ahead, but it's lower on my list. And that brings us to our final episode, the number 1 best episode of Drake and Josh. And you know what? It's gonna have to go to season 2's season finale, Honor Council. Yeah, this is Mindy's very first episode when the car gets parked in Miss Hafer's classroom and everybody thinks it's Drake. Of course, Miss Hafer is super against Drake already for no reason. So like the antagonists are so funny in this, and Mindy is such a great addition to the cast. Like, her dry sense of humor, turning on Josh with a flip of a dime, it definitely, like, was way better before they were dating. In terms of comedy, at least. I feel like it's not like the show declined in quality, but this was hilarious. My favorite part of the entire series is when they go through the exhibits of proof on how Drake is the one to blame for this whole car incident. And yeah, that I remember as a kid completely laughing out loud every time this episode came on. I really respected it. I just can't stop thinking about it. So yeah, I had to put it at number 1 to kind of personalize it a little bit more than you would expect. So yeah, that's Johnny 2000's complete perspective on the Drake and Josh episodes. Whew! I can't believe we just went through literally 57 episodes one by one. It feels like a micro version of all the season retrospectives I did, which, by the way, if you haven't seen them, please check them out. I gave about an hour to each season of Drake and Josh, diving into the episodes and the best parts, which I think you guys would really enjoy if you could listen to me talk for as long as you just did. But yeah, it's such a classic show, and I never stop wanting to talk about it. It's just the matter of making all my videos about it gets a little sad after a while. So you're gonna have to be patient with me, and I'm gonna get some more Drake and Josh episodes out in the future. But for now, this was the best one I could do. I just did a ranking video for Sweet Life of Zack and Cody in the same format. So if you like this or that video, please comment, share, like help me spread the word. I would love to keep doing ranking videos like this. And I love to keep doing them as long as, like, people are interested and they actually get the views, like, that are kind of decent. But for the most part, like, thank you for letting me just blabber out Drake and Josh. And until next time, everybody, this is Johnny 2000s with your 2000s movies, TV, music, and so much more. Now, you guys have a great day, and that's a threat.